that capacity is not supposed to have to be in your system. That is why for us, we dwell so much on the how do I put it, the German report. Of course, some people, there were information that maybe, the principal, wanted by all means to go to the funeral. So they were trying to land in Chikangawa, but that would be speculation without any proper evidence. Yes, because to say that we gathered any tangible information to the cause of the accident as National Intelligence Service would be lying, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. It's just a few questions for confirmation for record's sake. Former DG, I would want you to confirm. If you want to add any comment, you can add, but would you confirm to this committee that the information you have is that the search started around 11 when the aircraft did not arrive in Nzuzu? Can you confirm to that, or is that correct?
I cannot confirm the exact time, to be honest. But it started immediately. They noted that the plane has not returned to Lilongwe, because it seemed that there may have been information that the plane is returning to Lilongwe. But looking at their timing, that is why they constituted the Joint Aviation Command Center, which is the normal practice in an aviation accident. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. That will help us. The second confirmation I want is, did you actually tell this committee that your office, when you were there, you offered the office of the VP to have NIS staff, but you never got a response as to agree to that offer or not? Did you tell us that?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Thank you very much. And the third one is, I want to ask you if you are competent enough to tell this committee on how military aircrafts operate, because we have been taught they operate different than civilian aircrafts. So are you competent enough to tell us about the airports where military aircrafts are supposed to land, or the tracking device that is supposed to be on the military aircraft? Are you competent enough to tell us that?
Chair, I am not competent.
Thank you so much. Chair, my last one is a comment. I think on the issue of phones by the VP, the former VP, late Dr. Chirima, we have only had one evidence from in this committee that the phones did not go to the madam in time, but we have it on record that at the funeral ceremony, the relative of the late Vice President made mention about the funds and the property that it has been given to them. So I think it will be up to us as a committee to further investigate it, instead of using that as a basis of our evidence and then ask more questions about why it did not happen. I thought I should just make that observation and appeal to you, Chair, if we could actually get more evidence about the funds themselves, instead of maybe making some comments that will make people think otherwise. Thank you, Chair.
Sure. We can't be conclusive because we haven't gone to search and rescue, where we will look at a chain of custody of funds and property and everything else. So, yeah, at this stage, nothing is conclusive. Thank you. Okay, so can we just be very brief now for you guys that are making supplementary? I need the chair, the vice chair to finalize. So Mwanza and then Deza and then Deza Mayani.
Chair, just a supplementary on the safety and risk assessment. Is it mandatory or you do it? I want to confirm because I think I got it that you are, if you are requested to conduct a search and a safety and risk assessment. So I just want to be clear whether it is indeed upon a request or you are mandatory as an intelligence department to assess the risk or safety issues where the VVIP is going to?
Chair, let me put it. It's either. It's not either way, but both ways. For example, where he was going to Nkarabe, you know, basically officers will be on the ground. If they pick up anything, they will engage with the team that goes advance for the VP side or anything. Now, it is mandatory, you know, where possible, to protect the VVIPs. Now, the nature of the protection, that is within the tradecraft or the modus operandi or concepts of operation of the service. Now, on request, there are specific areas, especially because of the dynamics where officers were not actually placed within his office, because the normal system elsewhere, his officers must actually be placed within his office, and the actors, you know, they interchange. So, but with the lack of that, people worked, and a number of times that has been actually, you know, acknowledged that we have done that. But the environment, to be honest, even I wouldn't want to mention the current environment because I'm not involved. But looking at where we are coming from, it has been a difficult environment. But it has to do with our political system, not the two offices. It's our political system in its entirety. Sometimes the two offices wouldn't be having the challenges that they have if it wasn't or it isn't for the environment or the way we are politically structured as a nation. Thank you.
Yeah. Last one, Chair. You have mentioned political environment, political, you know, you've mentioned it several times. What was the political environment? Can you tell this committee? Because you've mentioned it that I mean several times that because of the political environment, Can you explain what was the political environment?
Let me be blunt, because I've been sometimes in one or two meetings where the vice president, the vice president is there and I'm there. You know, what we picked up was that some leaders in the UTM would be trying to convince even the VP, even to get out of the alliance. And this started quite early, you know, 2021, you know. And some leaders in the MCP would be trying to convince President Chakwera that let's kick them out of the alliance. So when I speak of political environment, it's not just the two people, because they're operating in an environment. Now, Chair, let's be honest with each other. For 31 years, this country had no vice president. The first time we had a vice president was 1994. My take from a national security perspective is that we are yet to grow into a system that knows probably even laws have to change, because countries, they say where they have the deputy president has specific function, like in South Africa, where he handles parliament and things like those. So these are conversations, Chair, that I don't, maybe it will be stretching from the point of view of your committee, because what transpired after the accident is it's also very important, in as much as us looking at the accident not happening again the way it happened or the way the search and rescue happened, because there are questions we are not honest to ask each other about in the political environment we are operating in. I thought, Chair, that's what I basically meant. Thank you.
Yeah, Chair, that's what I wanted to find out. So the political environment, you want to confirm that you picked that there were people in MCP, leaders, who were saying let's kick them out of the alliance, and there were leaders in UTM who were asking the late Chirima to get out of the alliance. You picked that as an intelligence director.
Obvious, and I believe not only me, even members of the public. It was very obvious.
I think.
That's why I used the word it is a given fact at the beginning, and you questioned me. So now you're confirming that there was. But anyways, besides the point, it's good that we're interacting freely, and I appreciate that. Okay, good. Can we, just one more, so we conclude? Right.
Chair, thank you very much. I just wanted to get some parting statements. And you bear with me, I want, there are about four lines that I just wanted to get a clarification from him. Some of them were supposed to be actually asked in the beginning. So I just wanted you to understand your background. You said you've been with NIS since 1997. Did I got you correct?
Yes, Chair.
When did you finally leave NIS?
I left NIS in October 2025. But Chair, on and off, because I am one of those species that has been fired and rehired frequently by the government.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to understand some technical terms. We are saying National Intelligence Service. Is this a spying agent, or can you describe it? Is it a spying agent?
Chair, maybe there comes a time for certain things to be demystified. You know, when you say intelligence, it's simply processed information, and more than 95% of the intelligence information, the source is public information. Only that the intelligence officer has the science, because intelligence is a science. There are countries like in Kenya, they even have a university where people do PhDs in strategic intelligence analysis and all other things. So how you process, because you have to triangulate, correlate, is this true? Because the proper intelligence system does not report lies. You know, you can't be disinforming your principles. You disinform an enemy, you know. Now, for national intelligence, normally what comes, what we call espionage, where you have to spy and deploy certain intrusive mechanism, is usually 2, 3, maybe at the stretch 5% of the intelligence information. Majority of the information is in the public domain. But when it is gathered, it has to be processed for decision making mostly. I hope I have assisted, Chair.
I just wanted to understand from that point to say, what's the difference between what you do and the police, CID, and others who do a similar way? What's the difference between the two of you? Because if I fail to understand that, then I might judge you maybe wrongly. So I just wanted to understand from that aspect. Then I shall ask my final questions, because there is a basis why I'm asking that. Thank you.
In simple terms, Chair, the CID, they investigate crimes that have already taken place. That's why in a normal, for example, like the US, they have more than 15 intelligence systems, each one, because they have the money, you know. Other countries have got 2, one for external, like Uganda and the like, one for domestic. But for us, the national intelligence, both domestic and external are in one service. Now, even the police are supposed to have their own intelligence system, besides the investigations, so that they are able to profile these gangs and what before, so there are certain things they can swat before the crimes actually take place. Now, for intelligence, is basically before the threat becomes a cancer, or before the threat hits and causes harm to people in the country, this must be discovered. And then, you know, yes. So, and intelligence, maybe, so Chair, you allow me the grace. It doesn't come, you know, maybe after this, maybe it will be another 90 years before one of me species comes here. Intelligence, there is operational intelligence. Who did what and what, and then there is a strategic intelligence. How systems are, you know, deployed. Are these systems strong? What takes for a strong nation? Those kind of things. So maybe that's what I can say, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. The background I was asking those questions is to understand in one of your statements where you said you had found out that there were these other dangerous kind of trends or threats, such that in your statement, I just wanted to make sure that I point to that statement where you are recommending to say there is need for further investigations. I think it was in your point 11, on your submission on point 11, you are saying there is need for further investigation. At the end, it would, let me read it. It would only be for fair, it would be fair if accountability would be considered by way of further investigation on who incited these developments and for what purpose, so that it should never happen again. So now I'm going back to your recommendation or your advice. At that time, you had all this information, and you stayed in office for 1 year. Almost 1.5 years. I'm trying to look at 2024, June to October 2025, almost 1 year. And you had all this information, and now you are making a submission. I wanted to understand, after you have done all this intelligence gathering, how is that information used such that to me it's like you had an information which was never used, if I understand you well, and now you are coming to the committee to say we need further investigation. But him was the kind of the investigator, and that was the aim of their office. So that's why I'm finding it to say, why did it took 1 year? Or were there some offices which maybe didn't do their work properly as far as this issue was concerned? And finally, when you are replying to that, Chair, I just wanted to part ways on why do you still call these conspiracies? Because that's the statement you have used, is calling them conspiracies, some of the conspiracy theories. Yeah, so I just wanted him to qualify. Let me stop there, Chair. Thank you very much.
Chair, the intelligence information was used maybe not efficiently. I think that's why, Chair, I referred earlier on to, in terms of the mandate of your committee, how critical is the component of accountability, or how critical is the component of deploying redressive measures, so that some of these things don't happen, you know. But if accountability is one of them, we operate in an environment, and I keep going back to the political environment. Remember, one of the challenges that we picked up, of course, was that the accident happened 24th June. Of course, you can't use assumptions on an accident like that, but imagine if it had happened in 2021, you know, to somebody else or anybody, even the president, God forbid. But the traffic of the conversations, I don't want to call it noise, because it was not random noise, you know. It was the things that, because we're entering a very politically sensitive, we're going towards the elections, and you can't fully blame people, because people take, you know, anything that is cannon fiber, you use it for purposes of electioneering. So to put it bluntly, this accident was used a lot for electioneering. If you listen to the likes of Bagini Muruzi TV, the likes of Ntanyiwa, it was serious. And some of the, of course, the figures behind there, this, you know, you begin to understand a certain picture. Now, one of the things that people do here is basically what they call counter-propaganda within the government systems. Now, the government system and the political party are different things, you know. Now, so for me, I say conspiracy because of what resulted, you know, in the end, that people believe certain things, that when some of us look at it and say, okay, how do people get to believe these things? But it's because of the conversations that resulted from these things, where you actually were able to notice that certain people are driving a certain agenda. Some people were honestly, trying to ask questions. I mean, that you can't dissuade. And they were entitled to ask those questions. But there were a certain cadre of people that were deliberate about what they are trying to do. That is what I was trying to read to. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think it's now 2.5 hours gone. And we have the Vice Chairman, and then we close. Oh, yes. We had you. There's a casino. So can you have the floor? So we don't go backwards. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Chair, I will not take. I had written so much of them, but because of time, Chair, I know we have another, so I'll not go through it. Pastor, I'm also in another world. In this committee, I prophesy and pray. In the book of Isaiah, and if you go in the book of Joshua, in the Bible, the Lord says, "Do not fear, because I'm with you wherever you go." So you as a pastor, you know very well that we have God as our shield. Don't you think you need God as your shield in this committee?
Chair.
If we go to your bread number 9, can we use that as a pastor? If you go to your bread number 9, where you are mentioning of a senior political leader of Afford. I know that matter was closed, Chair said, but now you as a pastor, should we still be afraid?
Can I respond, Chair? That's a challenge. Chair, I know you know, let me not go there, but I was going to say that.
Maybe
you
just
understand the
maybe you've had a rethink. Maybe just comment.
Chair, briefly, that is why a prophet is not a teacher of the word. Maybe let me put it that way. People may have both gifts. It's fine. They may occupy both offices. So the Bible, you can't just get one verse and run with it. Then we move people to the mountain after one verse. But basically, you also need to use wisdom. You also need to use wisdom, because God has given us wisdom. By the end of the day, I have very young children, to be honest. I mean, I have to tell you that even now, my pension is not paid. So let alone, let me tell you the truth. Let alone, I'm talking about physical protection. People may decide this man will never receive his pension. Already the noise I hear why they are not paying my pension. Sometimes they are like, okay, we wait. So we are trusting God. But I thought, I really, if I felt the committee would protect me by the grace of God, yeah, I mean, I have nothing basically to hide.
But just, Chair, I know you're very close. I wanted to understand this senior political leader of Afford. Is it documented if the committee want to talk to the current DG rather, will be able to get the name?
Chair, the information must be there. But remember, I put a caveat, because I'm a very practical person. I said, depending on the existence of institutional memory, because with our transitions how we behave, so you find that.
I got that, Chair. Yes. Institutional memory, to me, you're referring to the human aspect of it.
Yes,
the members, the personnel are still there. Almost everyone who was there then. But I'm looking about documentation, because I believe this was transcribed somewhere else.
Yeah. So Chair, I'll put it this way. So we were trying to build a professional intelligence system. And I need to say this on record. That is one of the reasons, one of the battles that some of us were involved, not that we're fighting that battle, but those that belong probably to the MCP will agree with me, and we're all here. It was like, I'm not saving the interests of the ruling party, I mean, I've been invited sometimes in certain meetings. You are not chasing cadets here. I mean, I must say the truth. And the good thing is, the president was very supportive. You understand? People have gone there, fire him. He's keeping cadets. But I said, I'm keeping intelligence officers. Which political color they come to, that's another issue. Intelligence has a way of handling those things. Now, what is happening now, I don't know. That is why I say, in the context of institutional memory being there, because an intelligence system must be apolitical. It is an independent state institution. It's not a department of government. I need to emphasize that.
All right, maybe let's go there, because I think that I was just coming in that time. I had some mental chair.
You're going to wind up?
Yes, I need to wind up, Chair. There are three things I want you to talk. I want you to answer me briefly in 30 seconds. You have already done much of explanation. You said the funds for the Vice President were handed quicker before further investigations. I wanted you to clarify on that one. What kind of investigations you want?
That is what I know.
Yes, so I wanted to, what type of investigation you think were never did before the handing over of that?
Like for me, like the time, maybe by the time the Germans were being involved, you know, maybe if the phones were still in the custody of, you know, police, because remember there was no, what you call a black box or what, and maybe the communications, you understand. But in a normal system, you don't get phones from the family members, and then you say, let's investigate. After 2 years, that is a futile exercise. Thank you, Chair.
I know in MDF there's some, I think, intelligence. How do you work with other intelligence of the other states?
The military intelligence, we work a lot together. Even now, I know, because technically, the human trafficking and all other things, the systems work together, even with the police.
On this day, on this particular event, did you work together in MDF intelligence?
The officers were together, but the reporting channels are different.
Very lastly, NIS Act, I think do you have the Act yourself there? Well, I wanted you to read for me Section 21. What does it read? I'm interested on Section 1, not subsection 1. I know it has A, B, where it talks about certification. Can you read for me? After that, Chair, I'm done.
The Minister or Director General of the Service shall not be required to produce before Parliament any document or other evidence as the Director General certifies. As the Director General certifies. That's why I had advised Parliament to contact the NIS, but also advise the service to get in touch because of this, Chair.
Clear? The Vice Chair can conclude his questions.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Former DG Dukani Ngwira, good evening.
Sir.
I think one of the disadvantages of being a vice chair is that you are put at the end when everybody has asked the questions. So please bear with me if some of the questions might seem repetitive to you, but I just want to get more meat. You did start with, I think at a certain point there was a, you were just joking about it. You said you are now a villager. You are now a farmer. Did I hear you well?
Yes. Yes, sir.
How are you finding life now as a villager and a farmer?
In some ways enlightening, but you can also see I've put on a bit of weight. It means, yeah, less pressure. Still adjusting when you are used to doing something for half of your life. Yeah. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you so much. I noticed that one of your qualifications, professional qualifications, is business administration, and you've also worked in water boards. That's why I thought maybe I should be confident that as a farmer you're doing very well, irrigation and what have you.
Yeah, I'm actually doing well as a farmer, to be honest, at my level. I am not a mega farmer yet, but I'm doing well.
And at the same time, we're also a pastor. Chair, can the also witness also just advise us on his competence or qualifications as an intelligence person? Can you take that?
So I joined the National Intelligence Service, or National Intelligence Bureau then, in 1997. Before we started work, we were sent to Taiwan, Chikangawa, where we did our basic intelligence training. And after that, I have done quite a number of trainings. I don't like to mention because sometimes You can mention training like killing people, which is not good. But basically, even at leadership level, even of late, even my former boss, the then president, allowed me even to go to a number of still training at leadership level. Yes, yes. So I've been to Israel, even Harvard, to do international and national security. Yes, yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So as an intelligence expert, I'm sure you made the recommendations to the then president regarding how the systems, I should quote unquote, systems were working, because you have mentioned that in your submission. Those recommendations, are you sure are going to find them with the current DG?
Yes, even the law commission, because I was personally the one after the former president advised. I formally wrote to start the processes, the law commission. The commission was even appointed, if I'm not mistaken, yes, to take up those things, because it's very critical as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Can you also confirm that there is a documentation available in the current DG's office where you requested for an intelligence officer to be placed in the VP's office?
No, I can't confirm that. In his current office, I can't confirm that there's documentation, but there was engagement, verbally.
What was verbal engagement? So should we take you seriously on that verbal verbal interaction, because we can't confirm, can we?
Chair, I can't tell you whether you take me serious or you don't take me serious, but I am obliged to report under oath, and I'm saying this under oath.
Yeah, Chair, because I wanted to get that in terms of documentation, because where we expect his office to also provide intelligence services for the second citizen, and he does not, and using an excuse that he was never responded to. We needed the documentation on that one. So if it's verbal, Chair, I would still take him and say, maybe there should be a reason why he was not engaging the Vice President, because there's no documentation to show that he engaged the Vice President, and the Vice President did not revert to his office.
Chair, I will tell you something that I told my former boss when he had just appointed me. I learned, because some people were trying to pull. Some ministers, you are supposed to report to me, so he asked me a question. Where are you supposed to report? So I told him something that, unfortunately in this country, that time, there were only 4 people who had experience at being a president. And it is President Muluzi, President Joyce Banda, and President Peter Mutharika, and President Chagwera. The rest of us are just advisors. We have never been presidents. We don't know what it means to be in that office. So we make a lot of assumptions. A lot of things in government, when you are a president, or a leader, you don't have to document, but things still move. You know, so especially when it comes to national security, I thought maybe I needed to say that. But between the two of them, God knows. God knows. But what I know is, I think to the extent that politicians can be, they were sincere between each other.
Chair, I will ask you maybe to reconsider that submission earlier that he engaged the Vice President, because we can't prove it as a committee. And maybe that also opens a lot of questions to why the office of the NIS was not working with the Vice President. I think that might be food for thought. Moving forward, I also...
Chair, allow me, you know, this is a house of record. This is my submission. Can I respond? You know, I did not say was not working with the office of the Vice President. I said physically deploying an officer within his office. That's what I said. But working with the office of the Vice President, the NIS was working with the office of the Vice President. Even when the Vice President summons heads, we would go and hear what he's saying. You know, so I thought I needed to clarify there. We were working with the office of the Vice President as NIS. And I assume even this, the trend must continue, because it can't be otherwise.
Thank you very much. There are still more questions, so still bear with me. You said you are mandated with ensuring state security, and that can also mean national security. So whether the president has got personal enemies, those enemies become state enemies, because they're threatening the life of the president. Automatically, I think those ones should be threatening state security. Can you confirm?
I can't confirm, Chair, because sometimes the president may be drunk, you know, so you have to have proper intelligence that there is a threat on his life. And a lot of the threats on the president doesn't even know there was a threat until it was neutralized. There are times when only when you want the president to behave in a certain way that maybe you can inform the president. There are a lot of threats that are neutralized on his life that he is not even aware. And that's the nature of things.
No, what I wanted to drive home is that presidents, vice presidents are people. They've got friends and enemies. So the late vice president, I think there are submissions that have been made before this committee that was good, had a lot of friends and a lot of enemies. I think it has been submitted, it's documented. So I wanted to know if these enemies of the late vice president, you as an S director, also took them as enemies of the state, in the sense that they might be threatening state security.
So Chair, the NIS operates in a democratic environment. Now, sometimes in political language, enemy can be loosely opponent. Opponent is not an enemy. So the service does not pander to narrow political interests of a certain group of people. It's national security interests, and that is that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I'll move on. We have also gotten submissions from you that you worked with other countries. I think you mentioned East America.
We requested assistance.
Assistance, yes, of course. So those three nations that you mentioned, are these our traditional friends that may be around the 10th? Maybe some of them were also in the country, maybe helping us as friends?
They are our traditional friends, but basically using satellite systems. Thank you, Chair.
Still, I want to get the question answered. Were these friends also around within the country before the incident on the 10th, or maybe immediately after?
No, Chair. It was basically to ask them to assist with their systems to track the plane. And that was all.
Chair, I still want to get an answer. I'm saying these are our friends. These are our friends. So I want you to tell us, were these friends also in the country? Because they are friends. So you are asking them for help after this has happened, but maybe they could be within the country as friends. Can you confirm that maybe some of them are within the country as friends?
Not that I'm aware of, but maybe, Chair, let me say this. Intelligence cooperation, is an established system within the global intelligence community. And the same way presidents have ambassadors, intelligence chiefs have liaison officers that are deployed in embassies, like in South Africa, everywhere. So it is those liaison officers that were requested, to ask their hosts, their parent systems to assist. So it was basically contacting on a phone with the liaison officer of a particular service. Nothing that, I know, I've heard myself as well. As I said, this country will have rumors a lot, but there's nothing like that.
Chairperson, still bear with me because I'm the last.
Sorry. Okay. So, if we don't talk about the Israelis, then we are just brushing things over, because we're touching on it, and you have alluded to this fact. And he's asking a question, but I want us to be more direct. One of our partners, intelligence partners, it is alleged that they were in the country at the time of the plane crash. Are you aware or not? Is it true or not that these partners were here in Malawi?
Chair, it is a lie, and a big one.
Okay, so what will happen if it is discovered that they were in the country?
I'm at your disposal, Chair. You are the chair of the committee, but what I'm telling you, it is a lie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Moving on. Taking into your presentation, I think it is bullet number 10, where it reads, who had allegedly been offered lots of alcohol and money by some politicians. I wanted you to speak to us because you are giving us information that, in your own words, you said is processed information as NIS. Is this processed?
Chair, I think I was very clear that the limitation that I have had is trying to recollect, things that, what I can remember as things that are there. Now, what I couldn't remember, I've not put there. That is why I even said you can cross-check with the service, because this piece of information is in the custody of the service. It should be, because as DG, I processed this. That is all I'm saying.
No, thank you so much. I was just suspicious because you used the word allegedly, meaning that maybe the processing was not completely done to establish that this is a fact. But when you use the word like allegedly, I'm thinking maybe it's not this is not completely processed. So I thought maybe if it's not completely processed, since you are giving us processed information, maybe you could take it out. Like we have taken out bullet number 9 at the end there, where you said this was the root of conspiracy theories. You took out the root.
Yes.
And I'm happy with that.
Yes.
So I'm also giving you an opportunity. If this allegedly is because you have not processed the information, this is the opportunity to take it out.
Chair, it is not the job, when I say I processed, it means it went through my hands. But it's not the job of the DG to process information. There's a whole department that does. Now, that is why you find at the end, because as I said, I am trying to correct things. That's why I have even advised the committee that further investigations must take place. Unless, Chair, you are saying it is not necessary to do investigation on something serious as that, when we know the consequences of what happened.
Chair, I think we have communicated there. In this submission, there should be processed information that we should take seriously because it's processed information. What is hearsay and unprocessed, we might want it maybe to pack it somewhere. I'll move on, Mr. Dokani Gwira, if you'd allow me. So finally, Chair, I wanted to go back to the issue of the systems, because that's where I started from. Working with the MDF, working with the police intelligence systems, including the airport. In your submissions as recommendations to the head of state then and maybe other institutions, the CCTV that were not working there, I'm sure you might have made a recommendation, because without the CCTV data, I think this committee also finds some challenges. So in terms of the systems working, I'm sure you also made a recommendation on that one to make sure that the CCTVs at the airports are working, because we think those ones can also give us very good, valuable information as we conclude. As we conclude this investigation moving forward.
Chair, let me put it this way: between and among the services, there has been a very serious engagement on that subject, not just about the plane. That is why I said engage the police, but you may also engage the service currently on that, because there are certain questions, Chair, for me to respond in the way maybe the committee would love me to respond, is exposing certain things that we shouldn't expose. And that being a very critical installation, Chair, I really beg your indulgence that you allow me to let it there. But my advice is you will get all that information very easily when you engage the two systems. Thank you, Chair.
So, Chair, finally, As a DG, I'm sure you had a management team. Can you confirm?
Yes.
So around this issue, how many management briefings did you have? Because I think you are talking about people at Kia, people somewhere else, but you as bosses, how many briefings or meetings did you have around this and to give guidance to your teams out there? Because there are teams that were in Chikangawa, I'm sure they might have gotten advice from someone in the North Regional Intelligence Officer. But as senior management, how many briefings did you have, actually meetings, to guide these boys in the field?
Let me put it this way, Chair. I may not recollect exactly how many management meetings, and specifically on this one, but you remember in the management meetings, the finance guy will be there, this one will be there, and in intelligence, it doesn't always work like that. There are task teams that are deployed for certain operations, and in intelligence, we have a language which we call compartmentalization, or on the need-to-know basis, to protect the integrity of the information itself. So we did all that we could do. Maybe that's the best way I can answer. But to say as if it is a way of maybe performance management, how many meetings you had and what, in intelligence it doesn't work like that. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you very much. I have no further questions to ask, except to wind up. Maybe you have anything to say. I will allow you to say something, but just to appreciate the extent of discourse we've had. You've shed more light, and I think a lot of people didn't appreciate the role that NIS plays in the country. It's probably undermined, but now people can hear for themselves the role. I had a wrong impression when you were making presentation and answering us that I felt at some stage that NIS had nothing to do with the office of the VP in terms of security. So I was getting very worried. So towards the end, you started backtracking, and correcting yourself. So so I appreciate that the story is now complete, in as far as our investigations is concerned. So it's been a pleasure talking to you on a very difficult subject matter, but thanks for your cooperation, your understanding. You may have final words or final comments to make.
Chair, just to appreciate the committee, that you gave me this grace to come before you, considering that I should not have been here under normal circumstances. But also just to advise your house and the whole polity of our leadership in this country. Let us reduce the political temperatures. Now I speak as a former DG. Sometimes they say when you retire, you have the grace to make one or two, utterances. We are all Malawians in this country. I have noted a lot of punitive stances, both sides, even within the political organizations that govern our country. By governing, I mean all of you that are in Parliament, I ask, because it affects, now as a villager now, it affects us who are there. So I would really plead. I know there are others who don't have this grace to speak to you as leaders. Please be sober and lead us. And your committee has a big mandate. Finally, this inquiry should never have happened if things happened in a certain way. But it is here, and it has also brought a lot of things to light. So God maybe knew that we needed 4 inquiries to at least to get closure. And also, when you look at some of the witnesses, the way you are critical with some of us, in as much as emotions being involved, be critical with them. I saw there were a lot of kid gloves with certain, witnesses, understandably, because where they're coming from. But being in a business where manipulation can be operations, I really plead with your committee, but I also wish you the best. I know at the end of the day, the committee will agree and come up with something that the whole nation, we can accept and move forward. Thank you very much, Chair.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Dokoninga. We will endeavor this commission to do a job that you couldn't complete. It's a tough job, and there are lots of missing pieces that you're asking us to keep chasing. We'll try to do a better job. But we appreciate, and I've learned one thing from this interview: His grace is sufficient. We're meeting you is by His grace. I don't know whether we'll meet you again, but it was a pleasure meeting you, Pastor. You may take leave now. That pot of water is yours. It's not contaminated.